What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? In the entangled web of New York City's underworld, the collision between Spider-Man and the notorious Kingpin has sent shockwaves throughout the city. But this time, it's not just a clash of morals and wits. It's bone-crushing, spine-tingling, and heart-stopping. Stay till the end as we bring you this insane story of how Spider-Man wrecked Kingpin. Mary Jane peered through the hospital window, her eyes fixed on Peter's Aunt May. When Peter phoned her, MJ explained that Aunt May remained in critical condition, having slipped into a deep coma. Medical machines were keeping her alive, while everyone hoped for her eventual recovery. However, the doctors cautioned the family to brace themselves for the worst. Peter desperately clung to the belief that Aunt May would pull through, as she always had. At the moment, all they could do was wait. As Spider-Man swung through the dark streets of New York City, he pondered his next move. All he had was a list of 4 sneaky gun dealers operating in the black market who never revealed their customers' identities. But our neighborhood hero knew he could crack that puzzle, and boy, he did it swiftly. He effortlessly cared for many goons and finally arrived at the last dealer's place. Spider-Man broke into his fancy penthouse, catching the guy in his pajamas. The dealer tried to play dumb, but Spidey had no patience. He flung the guy into a wall, making it clear that his gun-selling business thrived on the cowardice of people who wanted to harm others from a safe distance. This scumbag lived high up with the rich folks, detached from the consequences of his deadly trade, while those who bought his guns wreaked havoc on innocent folks from afar. He held the man tightly, then, without a second thought, threw him out the window. The criminal screamed in terror as he plummeted several stories, but just as he was about to meet the ground, a strand of webbing latched onto his foot, suspending him midair. Spider-Man reappeared, wondering if the guy wanted to reconsider his previous attitude. Seeing his life hanging by a thread, the dealer quickly complied. Spider-Man fired off some pointed questions, demanding relevant names. The first 2 were wealthy hunters, but the third one was the name our wall-crawling hero was searching for. Jake Martino, a freelance hitman who didn't mind taking on the dirty jobs nobody else wanted. That meant this hit wasn't personal. Someone had hired him. The dealer mentioned that Jake had connections in high places, making him untouchable. But Spider-Man didn't give a hoot. He needed to find Jake pronto before he skipped town. When Spider-Man reached Jake's place, it was already too late. The entire apartment had been cleaned out. The sound of a broken window caught the landlord's attention, who came to investigate. Spider-Man apologized, citing his haste. Luckily, the landlord recognized him as the hero who fought alongside Captain America during the superhero Civil War and let it slide. Seizing the opportunity, Spider-Man inquired about Jake Martino's whereabouts. The landlord informed him that Jake had fled about half an hour ago and was headed to the train station. The urgency to find Jake heightened even more. Spider-Man made his way to Grand Central Station, unsure of how he would locate a man whose appearance and destination were unknown. As he swung into view in front of a crowd of civilians, he knew this was his only shot. Considering Jake's danger to himself and his family, Spider-Man's best bet was to present himself boldly and observe for a strong reaction. Hopefully, that reaction would trigger his spider sense. The onlooker stared at the enigmatic figure in the dark suit as he scanned the surroundings with intense focus. And then, it happened. Spider-Man's plan worked. He spotted his prey. A surge of satisfaction filled him as he watched the killer swiftly start running. He wanted him to run. As the assassin fired a hail of bullets from his Uzi, Spider-Man contemplated how he wanted the man to experience the fear of being hunted, cornered, outgunned, doomed. A walking dead man. Jake hurriedly switched weapons, but it was too late. Spider-Man swiftly incapacitated him by breaking his arm, forcing him to drop the weapon. "Pick it up," Spider-Man taunted. "You've still got one good arm." The hitman began to plead for mercy, but Peter threw him against a support beam, commanding him to shut up. He sensed Martino was about to reveal the name, but something interrupted their confrontation. Gunshots echoed through the air, and Peter swiftly evaded them. Martino fell unconscious as the shooter escaped. Peter immediately planted a tracking device on the fleeing perpetrator, managing to attach it to their boot. As officers rushed in, Spider-Man realized there was a chance the shooter might discover and remove the tracker. However, he couldn't afford to lose Martino if he woke up. Clinging onto the ambulance carrying the hitman, Spider-Man questioned his readiness to take a life in revenge for his aunt's shooting. The answer became clear. Yes. He acknowledged that in a different time and place, he would have been ashamed of such a response, but not today. Ironically, The universe seemed to have its twists as they arrived at the same hospital where Aunt May was receiving care. And at that moment, MJ called out to him, expressing concern. Though Peter was more focused on Aunt May's condition, it wasn't good news. She was fading fast, and life support was the only thing keeping her alive. Time was running out. Peter couldn't shake those words from his mind as they held each other. Suddenly, Peter felt his spider tracer's proximity, signaling it was time to act. He located a man on the phone, giving an update on Martino's situation and confirming that their target hadn't revealed any information. Peter swiftly silenced the man with his webbing, seizing the phone as he recognized the voice on the other end. Listening secretly, Peter overheard the man instructing someone to lie low for a while. It was just a single sentence, but Peter immediately recognized the voice. "Hello, Mr. Fisk," he greeted. "Well, hello, Mr. Parker. What can I do for you?" Fisk responded. Peter had just one thing in mind. "You can die, Mr. Fisk." Fisk scoffed at the idea, explaining that he was beyond death and that others would kill him. But Peter wasn't deterred. He had already broken countless laws in the last 48 hours. What's one more? Gripping the goon by the neck, Peter demanded to know everything about the person Fisk had ordered to be shot. As he forcefully removed the webbing from the man's mouth, Peter threatened him, claiming he could hear his heartbeat and would pull it out of his chest if he lied again. Although that claim wasn't entirely true, the fear in the man's eyes revealed the truth. He confessed that Kingpin wanted him dead because he knew something the boss wanted to keep hidden. Peter swore to kill anyone involved in the shooting, recognizing that this man was another pawn in Fisk's game. However, he had to be cautious not to reveal MJ or Aunt May's whereabouts, so before MJ could find him, Peter was already swinging through the city, holding the killer by his ankle. Later that night, Peter embarked on another mission. The prison was quiet until suddenly, all the lights turned on. Cell doors swung open and a flood of inmates poured out, curious about the commotion. Meanwhile, William Fisk, also known as Kingpin, received a package. With pride, he lifted its contents while Spider-Man lurked outside. Spider-Man quickly went inside, skillfully crawling on the walls to avoid detection by the uninterested guards. Spider-Man appeared before his long-standing adversary, ready for their ultimate showdown. "This is it, Fisk. The end of the road. You and me right now." Kingpin loomed over Spider-Man with a smug smile on his face. He wished for a more impressive setting for their grand finale, perhaps something regal or gladiatorial. Nevertheless, he found solace because they had an appreciative audience in this place. Spider-Man locked eyes with him, remaining silent. Kingpin frowned, not accustomed to Spider-Man's serious demeanor devoid of his usual jokes and theatrics. He pointed out that although surrounded by despicable men, even they looked down upon a specific type of person, a chump. Spider-Man had reached his breaking point. He unleashed a rapid barrage of punches to Kingpin's face, too fast for the crime lord to react. Stepping back, his face bruised, Kingpin's expression changed. As Kingpin prepared to strike, Peter Parker burst into action, fueled by rage and determination. With a powerful blow, Peter drew blood as he punched Fisk's massive jaw, excitedly causing the crowd to roar. But amidst the chaos, Peter was focused solely on his mission. There were no spectators, witty remarks, acrobatics, or fancy webs. Every punch Peter threw was driven by one thought: the man before him was responsible for hurting the people he cherished. With relentless fury, Peter unleashed a vicious assault on Fisk, his rage pushing him to inflict pain and make him pay. Blow after blow, Peter hammered his target, forcing Fisk to taste his blood as he attacked his trachea, leaving him gasping for breath. At that moment, Peter realized that Fisk wasn't a man but a target. With a mighty throw, Peter sent Fisk sprawling across the room, towering over him with a menacing presence. He reminded Fisk of an important truth the crime lord had forgotten. All his wealth, cruelty, and bravado couldn't give him real power. Unlike Peter, who possessed extraordinary abilities, Fisk was nothing more than a pompous, overweight man. Peter was the needle that would burst his inflated ego. Infuriated, Kingpin reached for Peter, but the agile hero evaded his grasp, striking him with enough force to knock out a tooth. "Kill you, swear to God!" Fisk exclaimed in anger. Peter coolly responded, "Oh cool, get up! Go to hell!" Kingpin threatened to retaliate, but Peter effortlessly lifted the 450-pound man with a single hand, firmly holding him by the flesh of his chest. With relentless determination, Peter delivered a series of stinging slaps to Fisk's face. "Now here's how it's gonna happen," Peter declared, raising his hand towards Kingpin's open mouth. He described how he would fill Fisk's respiratory system with webbing, rendering it useless. The horror and fear in Fisk's eyes were palpable, but instead of carrying out his plan, Peter flung the tyrant into a wall, taunting him to accept his impending fate. "If you're going to kill me, get it over with," Fisk challenged. Peter revealed that he had learned something crucial from Fisk: cruelty and timing. He had inflicted a fate worse than death upon him. By publicly defeating him, Peter had shattered Kingpin's carefully crafted image of invincibility. The entire room had witnessed his defeat, and the story would spread throughout the city, even the entire country. Peter wanted Fisk to suffer, to live with the knowledge that he had been beaten, humiliated, and exposed for all to see. It would torment him relentlessly, tearing him apart every day. Peter desired Fisk to experience a taste of the hell he deserved, if only for a while. Acknowledging his aversion to killing, driven by his principles and concern for his family, Peter confessed that he was willing to make an exception. He leaned close to Fisk, emphasizing that the exact moment Aunt May passed away would mark the resumption of their unfinished business. Fisk realized he could do nothing to stop Peter from exacting his revenge. Peter vowed that Fisk would be dead when that time came, swearing on his own life and the soul of his beloved Aunt May. Turning his attention to the other criminals and their associates, Peter issued a chilling warning. If anyone dared to harm his family or those dear to him, they would face the same brutal fate. Touching them meant a painful, slow, and definitive demise. With a swift web sling, Peter signaled that since Fisk had ordered Aunt May's death, it was only fair that his own life would end with hers. He suggested that Fisk persuade God to grant her every precious second of life. However, as Peter departed the scene, he added a final cautionary note. Fisk shouldn't place too much faith in divine intervention. He promised to see him again, leaving Fisk and the other inmates to contemplate the defeated crime lord's fate. As the defeated Kingpin tried to regain his composure, barking at his subordinates, they remained unmoved. Despite his wounded state, Fisk limped back to his cell, defeated and humiliated. The Kingpin had been dethroned, and the inmates bore witness to his fall from grace. They knew the consequences of crossing Peter Parker, and Fisk's defeat was a stark reminder. Remember to subscribe to our channel if you found this content valuable. We'll see you in the next one.